I know you guys saw the title of this video. I know you guys saw the thumbnail for this video. I know you guys saw that little notification in the App Store for there being an update. Honestly, after the whole early in the year debacle, I didn't think we'd see the day, but yet here we are. 5 years after multiplayer was fully implemented. 1 year after I started making content about this game. And 4 months after it was originally projected to happen, Bloody Bastards multiplayer is fixed. And my god, the wait was worth it. We have an actual dedicated server now, anti-spam mechanics, anti-pushed mechanics, an actual balanced weapon roster, a ranked system that doesn't make me want to claw my eyes out, and so much more that I want to get into. But first, I want to talk about how we got here. And don't worry, I'm not going to hit you guys with a whole Bloody Bastards history lesson retrospective where I talk about how the game was from closed alpha to now. I just want to go over my experience playtesting the game for the creation of this update, because that was a wild ride start to finish. For those of you who haven't seen my most recent community post or most recent upload, number one, you should probably subscribe and hit the bell so next time some crazy shit like that happens, you'll actually know and you can see it and everything will be great. Please subscribe to my channel. And number two, I was a playtester! I was hesitant to do it at first because the playtest started at around the same time I got a new job and got a new dog and all this other crazy shit was happening in my life. But one day, Azrael, the guy from this video who had the weird flying glitch happening to him, reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try some stuff out for the new update. And while I did still have a lot on my plate and very bad time management, I said, you know what, sure. And huge shout out to him for that because his timing was impeccable. I joined sometime around build 22, where we were testing out the new Bloody Legend flail. It had to get buffed and reworked because the old version of this weapon, it was the final thing you unlocked in ranked, but I never got to that level myself because it was, I didn't think it was worth it because the old version was so bad that you could genuinely lose to somebody using a fucking stick. Here is footage of somebody genuinely losing to a fucking stick. But you know, my general cortisol levels are still pretty high from the last video when I went on the rant about the Golden Noble Mace. And if I went on another rant to that same degree in this video, I think I would have died of like heart palpitations before I could even get it out to you guys. So I'm gonna calm down a little bit. And also the issue's been fixed now anyway. Now instead of the final, well, one of the final weapons you unlock in your ranked journey, dealing less damage than a stick some guy found on the ground, it does this. Which is pretty nice, if I do say so myself. Anyways, I was going to talk about how the timing that I got onto the playtest was really good because we were testing the flail, so I got to load a flail onto my character and potentially keep it even after the test ended. But then Tibbeth decided to rework the entire ranked system for the better. So now I'm Bloody Legend 3, and now I have a flail I can use on all my characters anyway, but that's a whole other topic for later in the video, and I haven't even finished talking about the playtest yet. But anyways, what were my thoughts on the playtest? It was fun. A lot of fun. Basically, it was me and a bunch of other experienced players in a Discord server, where we could all talk about our thoughts on the game and its balancing, challenge each other to matches, and test whatever gameplay tweaks were being added with the, how do I describe this? So, basically, Tibbeth would drop like mini updates for us, and we would test each individual mini update to make sure that everything was good until the mega update dropped, which is the one you guys got for 5.0. And also, as this is happening, by the way, him and his wife are like in the server, like actively talking to us, and I don't just mean like occasionally they'll like drop in when an update is coming, let us know what you think. But like, no, they were like super active in there and talking to them, like, and they were really chill people, just getting to know them, learning more about like each other, not even just with the game, like outside of it too. It was a fun experience. Honestly, man, we slander Tibbeth sometimes on this channel, but credit where credit is due. I have never seen a developer that engaged with their community since Omega Strikers. And YouTube analytics tell me most of y'all are fucking LARPers and haven't seen my old videos, so you probably don't even know what that is. But long story short, me comparing anything to Omega Strikers is very high praise. I fucking love that game, man. But back to this one, though. Tibbeth being able to see real-time feedback from us on each segment of this singular update he was working on really did go a long way to making sure that the final product was as perfect as possible. It was also probably part of the reason why it took so long, and sorry about that, but hey, all I'm saying, if Day hadn't kept trying to gaslight us that the Diamond Sword did perfectly fine damage when it was getting its ass beat by every other weapon, it probably would have gone a little quicker. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, overall, I'm really happy with how things turned out, and I really, truly do think that the wait was necessary to deliver a product this good. And I like poking fun at them because it's funny, and doing it gave me my most popular video to date, but seriously, huge thank you to Tibbeth for letting something like this happen, and huge thank you to Day for kind of being the de facto server manager and compiling all our random thoughts and arguments that we would have over the day into something coherent that Tibbeth could actually, like, read and act on with coding. Also, thank you to everybody that I tested with as well. For the ones that have socials or YouTube channels or TikTok, anything like that, I've linked them in the description below. But with all that being said, let's get into some of the features of this update. Let's start with probably the most important change that this game has ever had and will ever have, which is the fact that now, at long last, we finally have dedicated servers. You heard me right. Gone are the days of awkwardly shuffling back and forth while waving your arms around and hoping that the decent gods interpret that as you getting a cheap kill. Gone are the days of loading into a match and this shit happening.
Yo, what the fuck?
Before inexplicably being kicked out of the game. Gone are the days of that useless-ass server select button that had a combined total of like 9 people on non-EU servers. Why was that even there? And lastly, gone are the days of cheaters, because the servers have way higher levels of security than the peer-to-peer connection did, and a lot of the old glitches that enabled people to cheat in the first place either got patched out or just straight up don't work anymore now that the code has been refactored. But back to the gameplay though. Fights in multiplayer feel so much smoother now, because everything is pretty much 1-to-1 for both players on both your screens. Of course, the game still has lag occasionally, as does like any multiplayer game ever, but it's normal lag now, if that makes sense. I don't know, Old Bloody Bastards lag felt like what was happening on your screen and what was actually happening in the match were like 2 entirely separate series of events. You just kind of had to guess where you were on your opponent's screen, where your opponent was on your opponent's screen, how much health both of you had, how much stamina both of you actually had, whether or not some random glitch was going to happen that made the match completely unplayable. Now, when it lags, 100% of the information being conveyed to both players is actually accurate. Sometimes it just gets conveyed a little bit slower, that's all. Sometimes it's really slow if you're matched with somebody who lives super far away, but overall it's a colossal improvement over the shit we used to have to deal with, and I'm sure it's only going to get better as time goes on. So great, now we can actually see what's happening while we fight each other, but Bloody Bastards combat is pretty simple, you know? It's basically just managing spacing and bonking people on the head with a kanabo. You're probably wondering if anything has been done to make the combat less simple and more intricate and skill-based. And I have good news for you, because a lot has been done on that front, and all of the changes so far have been fantastic. We now have a match timer that stops losers from just disabling both your arms and waiting until you leave. We have actual accurate health bars that don't let you randomly die in one hit from a kanabo, which has been nerfed, by the way. Nerfed into the fucking ground like it deserves, but, you know, more on that later. We have anti-push mechanics that give you a walking speed boost on your side of the map, and a whole bunch more. I think my favorite change, though, to the gameplay has been the one made to blocking. Shields are still the best way to block damage, but they've been completely reworked to be way easier to push out of the way. And stabbing damage has also been reworked, so now it's a viable strategy to do the actual intuitive thing that makes sense, which is to attack over or underneath your opponent's guard to hit them through the shield, instead of just DPS checking each other until one of you dies. But watch out though, because shields aren't the only thing that can block damage. Almost every weapon in the game now can. If this was 4.2 and Tibbeth proposed the idea of every weapon being able to block, I'd say that sounds like an awful idea, because I would immediately imagine how often my weapons get stuck inside enemy players and how much harder they'd now be to remove. But thankfully, this isn't 4.2, and that doesn't happen anymore. Instead, I feel like this change adds some much-needed complexity to the combat while also making it a lot more satisfying and fun. Like, dude, you can do the craziest shit in 5.0. You can catch your enemy's weapon with the cross guard of your longsword, then step back into a counterattack. You can use one of your dual-wield weapons to hold up their guarding arm while you use the other one to stab at their midsection. You can just do, like, actual ninja shit, like something you would see Sensei Wu off of Ninjago doing with the two-sided war mace, and it looks awesome, and it feels awesome. And side note, I'm so happy that this weapon got a proper rework instead of just getting weight nerfed and mass nerfed to hell like the rest of the Kanabos did, because I always liked the dual-sided war mace, and now it feels even better. It feels like it's designed to fill that counter-attacker weapon niche, and it works perfectly with the new blocking changes. But part of why the new weapon blocking system works and feels so great in the game is due in part to another change that was added. Probably an even bigger one than this. I should have went over this first, but every weapon type is actually viable now. Yes, I know that eventually, probably like a week after this update drops, if we're being real, people are going to figure out the meta and there'll be the super strong weapon or weapon set on the block that everybody uses. But nothing is ever going to reach the sheer levels of absurdity that Kanabos and the Sickle Shield combo did on 4.2. Like, yes, halberds do have very good range and insane overhead damage, but if you're skilled enough with dual-wield weapons, or just use any shield, you can rush one of them down, pin their movements, and stop them from getting full damage attacks, while all your full damage attacks don't require nearly as much space. Yes, playing against people who block all of your high damage overhead swings is kind of annoying, but with the changes to leg damage, the shield nerfs, and everything else going on, now spears are useful. And you can just keep going for leg stabs with them until when their feet break and back off for an easy win. Yes, it's annoying when somebody plays like a bitch and stabs your legs till they stop working, then run away with a spear. But if you use a halberd or an axe or a hammer or any sort of high swing damage weapon, you can kill one of them pretty easily before they cut your leg. And it's a cycle, you know? Instead of a small group of weapons just being so overwhelmingly stronger than the entire rest of the game's arsenal that nothing else really has a chance to compete, they all kind of exist in a weapon ecosystem, where certain types of weapons counter others, but none of them are just outright better than others in every way. Well, except for the final weapon you unlock, but you know, more on that later too. Like, dog, if you played enough to get to Bloody Bastard rank, you have gone through more pain in your life than you can ever inflict on me by killing me with an OP weapon in a video game. God bless you, and I hope that you find something better to do with your time. I won't, because I'm grinding for that shit as we speak. Okay, I really don't know how to smoothly transition into this part the same way I did with the general weapon usefulness tweaks. So I'm just going to go off script really quick, scroll through the updates channel from the playtest, and whenever I come across something or remember something I haven't brought up already, I'll bring it up here. And when I'm done, we can get to talking about the new content. Sound good? Cool. So the first one I can think of is the anti-spam feature, which I haven't really elaborated on. There's anti-push, which is the thing where when you get closer to your side's wall, you can push your opponent harder and they can't push you as hard. That one's great. But there's also anti-spam. So anti-spam exists in two forms. One is for movement, which anti-spam movement makes it so, remember how you used to be able to like tap with as many fingers as you wanted on one side of the screen and run at super speed? You can't really do that anymore. Honestly, some people might complain that it's taking away tech that took skill, but, you know, overall, having played on this version without it for long enough, I much prefer the general pace of the game without it. And two, there's anti-spam for swinging, which is a bit more, interesting. So what it's supposed to do is make it so the more repetitive motions that you do, like of the same exact attack or type of attack, the more stamina it takes. Now, in practice, I feel like this only really works when you're doing two-handed swings, both for one-handed weapons that you're swinging both your arms, or with two-handed weapons, because I fuck those guys, I guess, I don't know. And apparently it also works to counter people using auto-clickers on controller, so for all 9 of you losers who used a fucking auto-clicker to try to win in Bloody Bastards, boo-hoo for you, I guess. But for the rest of us who are normal, I feel like at worst it's something you barely ever notice, and at best it stops us from interacting with those guys, so yay. Another change is to the ragdolls, so while you're standing up, I feel like you're slightly more rigid. It doesn't really affect the gameplay too much. All it's really there to do is stop you from doing those somersaults that you would do if you ran too fast forward or backward on the old version. Which also we have anti-spam walking for that, so double fix to that issue. I think you can only do it now with the Grim Curvy Scythe, and that's if you really, really try. Please don't remove it though, Tibbeth. It's funny. I'm not hurting anybody. I just want to do a flip. That's not so bad, is it? But yeah, also, there's a change to the rigidity... But yeah, also there's a change to the rigidity of your ragdoll when you run out of stamina, too. This one kind of goes in the opposite direction, where instead of making your legs more rigid, it makes your entire body less rigid and way more floaty. Which, you know, I feel like you need to be using specific weapons and end up in, like, really weird specific situations to have this be like game breaking or do some absurd crazy shit, and even then it doesn't really give you an advantage to do that. It just looks funny. So overall, this doesn't really change the gameplay much. It just makes the game more fun and enjoyable to watch. And finally, the last change that I can think of bringing up is the damage of all weapons has been increased by 25%. I guess I could save this for the weapons section, or maybe I can do one of those smooth transitions I was sad about not being able to before. But yeah, all weapons have had their damage increased. Originally we were just going to nerf Kanabos and let everything else kind of figure it out from there, but then we realized that the problem wasn't just the fact that Kanabos did insanely high damage, everything else also did insanely low damage. So now everything has been brought up to speed. And with that, let's get to the new content. Hey, how's that for a transition? Hey, it's me from the future here, and number one, me from the past, shut the fuck up, that shit was cringe as hell, and number two, this is the actual last important general gameplay change. The hitboxes and damage registration for character models have been changed, so now, when you have pieces of armor like the Tsar hat, for example, that look like they only protect part of your head, they actually only protect part of your head. Probably go ahead and switch that out for an actual helmet. Also, your hands can take damage now. I know for a long time in this game's history they just had like infinite iframes on them and gloves were a useless armor type, but that's not the case anymore. Go ahead, throw some on, thank me later. But with that being said, we can finally get on to the part that you've all been waiting for. Or the part that you just immediately skip to after reading the timestamps. Please don't do that, by the way. You're going to be missing context for when I talk about... The new content, man. Where do I even start? I'm not gonna lie, even as a playtester I was surprised by this when I first heard about it, because in the PT server for so long, all of us were under the impression that this was just going to be a huge patch for the game and all of its issues and a rework to ranked mode, and that was it. We had no clue that anything was being added, but then in Build 40, Tibbeth surprised all of us with not one, but two huge new content drops, one for multiplayer and one for single player. Starting with the ranked multiplayer content, like I said, ranked has been completely reworked now. Ranked tiers are now divided up 1 to 5 instead of 1 to 3, and the number of points required to get from the bottom of each tier to the top is way more reasonable than it used to. Also, now you get bonuses for beating somebody that's higher ranked than you, and you lose less if they win against you instead. At the time of writing this script, every win I've gotten in Bloody Legend 3 while playing against other people in or around the same rank has given me 13 RP or more, so don't quote me on this. But I think that means we get more ranked points per win in general now, too. These changes, combined with the reworks to a lot of the weapons and armor in the game, should make the ranked grind feel a lot less tedious and a lot more rewarding already. But if that wasn't enough, we also have 8 new ranked weapons and a whole new max rank to aspire to. So when you get to the second division of each tier, you unlock a one-handed weapon for that rank. When you get to the first, you unlock the two-hander. In Bronze, your two-hander is just the standard Gladius that we all know and love, but afterwards you unlock a cool Falx, which, I'm not gonna lie, I have never heard of this weapon in my entire life before now, but Alezz, one of the guys I was playtesting with in the server, was like obsessed with this thing. Like, he was asking for this since like he first joined the server, so somebody's happy. All 9 Falx enjoyers out there, thank Alezz for his commitment to this endeavor. Anyways, in Silver, we have the Sickle, which we all know and hate, Also, small aside, that shit got nerfed into the fucking ground too, let's go! But we also have this axe, which is actually fun to play against, and play with, and takes skill to use, and it's balanced for the rank you get. In gold, sadly, the mace is still a useless piece of shit, as it always has been, but we also have this neat spear, too. In my opinion, it needs a slight buff, but during the playtest, when this shit first got added, it was broken as hell, and Tibeth going overboard on that first nerf was 100% justified. In Platinum, we have 2 new ranked weapons, and you can thank me for that, because I was the one who first pointed out how garbage the old Platinum weapon was. And you know I'm talking about the Executioner's Sword. In the server, I challenged anybody to try to beat me with that while they were using full comp builds and I had on my casual build. My first match I won 3-0, and the second one I won 3-2, and it was only that close, because at the end somebody tried to call me on the phone. Also, incidentally, getting that call completely fucked up my footage of the match, so here's a screenshot, because it's all I have left aside from a random video of the first 2 rounds that somehow has less pixels in it than that one video of SpongeBob and Patrick dancing to Soulja Boy, and I also probably deleted it anyway. Regardless, at the end, Day and Tibeth agreed that that thing was trash, so it was replaced with the Platinum Luxurious Halberd. I'm not gonna lie, this thing looks kinda goofy, but its damage and versatility are insane. This probably is personally my favorite ranked weapon to use. There's also the Platinum Hammers too, and they're kinda mid. That's also my fault, but there's a reason for that I will explain in a second, and you will thank me later. And lastly, I just wanted to mention the fact that there's ranked shields now. Woohoo, yay. Honestly, I feel like in this update, shields, like using one hand plus shield is like the weakest weapon combo. You get way more out of just dual wielding stuff or mixing and matching what weapons you want to dual wield. Shields have been not necessarily nerfed, more like reworked in a way that they're just not that good anymore, which is why I've barely been talking about them, because they're kind of a non-factor at this point. Anyways, moving on to Diamond, we have the Diamond Rapiers as your one-handed weapon. Now, these are an interesting one, because while they say they're swords, and they look like swords, they're actually coded as one-handed spears, and very strong ones at that. Now, due to a combination of how agile they are as one-handers and their high damage as diamond weapons, they actually do way more DPS than every single two-handed spear in the game. These are pretty much the original Silver Sickle on steroids, and honestly, I would be begging for these things to be nerfed if you didn't have to climb so high to unlock them in the first place. But what if you didn't? Because see, remember how I was talking about how you would thank me for the Platinum Hammers being mid earlier? Yeah, that was another change that was my idea. So when the ranked update first dropped, the Platinum Hammers were actually Diamond Hammers, and the Diamond Rapiers were actually Platinum Swords, which was frustrating, to say the least. In the server, we kept debating on how to rework both weapons to be stronger and weaker respectively while keeping them both fun, and we couldn't figure it out really until I came up with the genius 400 IQ idea of, hey, wait a minute, if these ones are too weak and these ones are too strong, why don't we just swap the rank you unlock them and not actually change them at all? And that is how their current versions came to be. You're welcome. Also, the Diamond Sword, the two-handed one that you guys all know and love, got reworked, so now it does like a metric fuck ton of blade damage, but slightly less hilt damage. At first, I really hated this change, but I'm starting to grow accustomed to it. It's nice. Also, shout out Diamond Sword for being the first weapon in Bloody Bastard's history that can two-shot people. It's fucking cracked now, give it a try. Anyways, in Bloody Legend, we have the Bloody Legendary Flails, and yes, I said flails with an S, because in addition to the two-handed one, there's also a one-handed one, which has 2 other heads on it, so it's like you're getting fucking, you can dual wield this and have like 6 flails in 2 hands. I don't really know. You guys get what I'm saying. Both of them are pretty strong. Something feels kinda off about the two-handed one that makes me not like using it. That's more of a personal preference, though. I feel like it's been buffed and reworked well enough now to be pretty good. And then, of course, as I showed in the beginning of the video, the Bloody Legendary Flail is actually befitting of its rank now. To be fair, I feel like it's only slightly better than the Diamond Sword, but I would rather things be strong within reason compared to each other than so much absurdly stronger than the one above it that you wouldn't be able to beat somebody one rank above you while you're trying to climb the rank ladder. Anyway, let's talk about some weapons that are so absurdly strong that you couldn't beat them if you were one rank below them on the rank ladder. This is the stuff you get from Bloody Bastard rank, the newest added rank to the game. And actually, before we get to the weapons, let's talk about the armor. The armor looks... See, this shit looks goofy as hell. I'm not gonna lie. But that is why our GOAT Tibith added 3 whole armor sets to this rank instead of just the one. So thankfully, instead of being forced to wear this ugly-ass, bloody bastardly armor, I hate this thing so much, I'm sorry, but you can use the Saint set, or you can use Ruhamp's Maximilian set. Also, I'm literally looking at my phone in real life as I'm recording this right now. Last update before it actually goes live, apparently Tibith added a bear helm too now, so I'll probably show that on the screen. That one actually looks pretty cool. On to the weapons, though. Our first weapon is the bloody bastardly double-handed axe. This thing was kind of mid at first, but through some buffs and tweaks, it is a beast now. This thing feels like... I know you guys wouldn't really get it because most of you weren't in the playtest, but basically, when everything first got reworked to deal 25% more damage, halberds were fucking insane and needed to be toned down a little bit. This halberd feels like what they felt like before they got nerfed, and it is glorious. But even above that, there is a weapon that I know you guys have seen me tease multiple times throughout the video, and it's not really a surprise anymore, but I just can't overstate how fucking insane it is that we have a gun in Bloody Bastards now. Like, oh my god, man. This thing is really good, though, on account of, well, I don't really think I need to explain this to you guys. It's a fucking gun in a game where most stuff is melee weapons. It's OP, right? It's very clearly OP and designed to be OP. But you have to earn it, though. And I'm hoping that the people who do play fair with others along the ranked ladder. This is not going to happen, but we can hope. But yeah, that's everything that was added in Ranked. Overall, I think I'm very pleased with the Ranked mode rework. I say I think because, of course, I haven't had much time to play it myself yet, because video editing is hard. And even if I did, I feel like it'd be a little disingenuous to give my opinion as an end-all, be-all, seeing as I'm starting from damn near Bloody Legend 2, while most normal players are starting from, like, gold, silver, bronze, somewhere there. Very reasonable to not have wanted to grind Ranked in the original version of multiplayer. I get it. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait for some new player to come along and make the spiritual successor to my last video. Or you guys could just, like, play it yourselves and form your own opinion. I don't know, man. I'm not Netanyahu. I don't control the media. Regardless, I can say that objectively speaking, Ranked mode has come a long way from where it started, and I can't wait to see what else comes in the future. And last, but definitely not least, let's get on to the new single-player content. As much as I love the Ranked stuff, the new single-player stuff cements Tibith in my mind as a top 3 most goated dev ever. Like, dog, he added me as a fucking boss in the campaign. Not only that, but when you click my boss's name, it links you to my YouTube channel? Like, what? Huh? That's so fucking cool. Basically, all the most active playtesters got to design their own campaign bosses, even to the extent where Tibith let us make custom armors for some of them. Like, goated. Actually fucking goated. I know I sound like one of those broccoli hair TikTok motherfuckers right now, but, like, look at this shit, man. It's so cool. There's 14 of these guys in total, and while it would be fun to have you guys hunt them down for yourselves, I'm not gonna lie, there's like 4,000 levels in this game, and most people don't feel like doing all that. I'm just going to put a list of all the special bosses up on the screen here and highlight the playtester ones in blue. And then I'm probably going to highlight a certain special playtester one you should pay attention to in red for reasons. And then, wait, the scripts, am I done? Am I almost done making this fucking video? Oh my god, finally. Whew! Closing thoughts. So, 5.0 update. I think everybody did a pretty spectacular job on this one. It took us a really long time, honestly, and I think that's my only decently sized criticism I can give. And not so much in the sense of like, oh, why update takes so long, Tibith? Why you no abandon wife and kid to work on game more? No, I mean, I don't know what was stopping him from, like, releasing an emergency Band-Aid patch for the game before from most of the community's perspective, going dark for like 6 months and leaving the game in a completely broken state. I know that not everything could be fixed and addressed that quickly, but I feel like a Kanabo nerf, a 12% buff to the damage of all other weapons, and a forced pop-up asking you which server you want to join whenever you turn on multiplayer could have taken us a long way. But still, I don't think the issue is that he's lazy, or ignores the game for other stuff, or doesn't listen to the community. From actually talking to him and seeing the way he works, I think it's more the exact opposite problem. He's kind of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff, and I respect that, but at the same time, that kind of work ethic starts making the Bloody Bastard update chart look kind of like this. Regardless, what's done is done, and now we have the biggest and best update this game has ever had, so I can't really complain. Also, another thing, he's not done, by the way. Apparently, he said that more updates are planned for the future with even crazier shit than what's been already added. But as much as I want to spoil that right now, I think I've yapped enough for one video at this point. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Liss, and I'll see you guys in the next one.